Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge House. Let's look into today's The Hindu newspaper, that is of the date 6th of September 2018. So as usual, we'll be looking only to certain articles that are important from a UPSC and various other competitive exams perspective. So I welcome you all to this video. Let's start. The first article is about, and today there are a lot of articles regarding the 2 plus 2 summit that is scheduled in the later part of this week in New Delhi. And this 2 plus 2 refers to defense and trade representatives from both sides. So trade talks are stuck as the US presses gas aircraft sales to India. So India and US are in a deadlock over the contentious trade issues after the Donald Trump administration sort of formal commitment of additional purchases of a 10 billion US dollars annually for the next 3 years. So as both these countries seeks to reiterate their strategic partnership at the first 2 plus 2 summit in New Delhi, that is first 2 plus 2 dialogue in New Delhi, India is at a difficult position. That's what the article says. So what are India's concerns? India has a trade surplus of 23 billion with the US, and US is attempting to balance this particular case. And a draft agreement in the US last month committed India for an additional imports of civilian aircraft and natural gas. So this is another concern. And India's concerns regarding the steel and aluminum tariffs that are levied by the US is another important issue. So we are currently enjoying a GSP, that is Generalized Preferential System of Preferences. This is a preferential tariff system that India enjoys. So, and there are a lot of issues that are likely to come up in the 2 plus 2 summit. One is regarding the Russian part, and the other one is regarding the Iran part. So, right now, US has a law that is CATSA. It is refers to countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act, and this is about whoever moves against the wishes of the US when it comes to this trade deals and all that, and all dimensions of proper international relations or diplomatic relations. Whoever moves against the US wishes will definitely be they will counter such countries using sanctions. That's what the law is about. So right now we are in the process of acquiring missiles, that is S-400 missile systems from Russia, and this definitely raises the temperature in US. So the reason is they are arch rivals. Russia and US are arch rivals. So whoever is going near to, or whoever is in a better relationship with Russia, or whoever is on a better trade deal with Russia or a defense deal with Russia will definitely be a uh, you know uh, so those countries will not be positively perceived in US. So as per the CATSA, such countries will be sanctioned by the US. So there was a time, or we have, or India as a country, there are several times when India moved against the US or their wishes. One, especially regarding the Iran sanctions and all that. Even when there was sanctions on Iran, we used to import oil from Iran, and Iran gave us a lot of concessions regarding that. So right now the case is regarding the S-400 missile systems, as I told you before. So if India is if we are proceeding with the S-400 deal with Russia, it is highly likely that US will impose sanctions on us, and the US trade representative has made it clear that even though there were situations when India was exempted from the sanctions, every time you cannot expect that. So that's a really important part. And the other one is regarding the Iran. The US has recently withdrawn from the JCPOA, that is Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and US has asked us to reduce the oil import from Iran to zero. So, and we have differed against that. We have rightly said we cannot do that. So these are the number of issues that are likely to come up in the 2 plus 2 summit that is scheduled later part of this week. So, and other important agreements include COMCASA, about which I have already mentioned in another video, that is communications compatibility and security related thing. And the other one is BECA, that it refers to, or it involves the sharing of geospatial information between India and US. So these are the all possible dimensions from which we have to look at 2 plus 2 summit. So that's all important about this article. Let's move on to the next one. Supreme Court bats for minor rape survivors. So the Apex Court extended the minor children, extended to minor children, the NALSA compensation scheme for women rape and sexual assault survivors. So right now the thing is that NALSA has got a compensation scheme for women victims or survivors of sexual assault or other crimes as of 2018. So right now, Supreme Court has intervened and extended this particular compensation to minors also. So in the case of a rape and unnatural sex assault, the victim would get a minimum of 4 lakh and a maximum of 7 lakh. Among other categories, if a victim suffers from the loss of a fetus or miscarriage in the course of this assault, the scheme offers a compensation of 2 to 3 lakhs. And if it is an acid attack and there has been a disfigurement in face, the compensation will be 7 lakh and the maximum of 8 lakh. So that's all important about this particular news. Let's move on to the next one, and this should be analyzed regarding the polity part when it comes to the schemes, the welfare schemes uh, that are intended to uplift the assault survivors and all that. So definitely this is an important scheme, NALSA compensation. So even though like compensation cannot fully address their issues, but it will be a significant help for them. So that's all about this particular article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the NRC. So this is a really contentious issue regarding Assam, and around 40 lakh people has already been left out of NRC and there are a lot of allegations regarding the process also. Even though this was a Supreme Court mandated process, there was no Supreme Court monitoring. That's the number one allegation or number one problem that experts are pointing on it. And the second part is that uh, there are a lot of documents requirements when it comes to enrolling in NRC, especially post savings document, passport, and this is the checklist is also mentioned here. It includes land deeds, passport, LIC policy, licenses, bank accounts, birth certificate, and all that. And a large number of people in this particular part of the Assam, or there are a large number of people who are residing in that particular area, and their only valid document is the residence certificate from Panchayat Raj institution. This is not considered as this particular document is not in the checklist for inclusion in NRC. So this is another important factor, and because of this, there are lakhs of people who were left out of NRC. And right now, Supreme Court has refused to give the NRC copy to the center. So it was asked, or the Attorney General KK Venugopal submitted to the Supreme Court that we are extremely happy to interested in having a copy of NRC. To this, Justice Rangan Gogoi replied, "You may be interested, but we have to balance it. The court has called for the report. Now it is the discretion of the court to give it to you or not." That's what it responded. And the bench gave the government 2 weeks' time to respond to Mr. Haleja's suggestion. Mr. Haleja is the chief coordinator of NRC, and his suggestion was that whoever was excluded from NRC should be allowed to produce additional documents to prove their legacy. And now the Supreme Court has given the central government 2 weeks' time to respond to this particular suggestion. So, in the previous hearing on August 28, the Apex Court had noted that how the ouster of 40 lakh people in the draft NRC raised human problems of a huge magnitude, and it is highly likely that some kind of human rights organization will definitely be taking it up with the Supreme Court. And whoever will be left out of NRC, will there be deported, or will other countries like Bangladesh accept them? These are really contentious issues. Anyway, let's see how things are going to evolve. That's all I can say. That's all we can say now. So let's move on to the next article. It is regarding the 2+2. So Mr. Pompeo and the U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis, who arrived here on Wednesday evening for the dialogue with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, will head their respective teams for the two-level talks. So the dialogue is the highest level discussion between the two countries after a long time. So what are all the agendas on the table? One, the US is likely to push India how to operationalize India's status as a major defense partner, and of course defense purchases that are on the line. US is likely to push India for a communication capability and compatibility and security agreement, that is COMCASA. Even though US has already said that only a lighter version of the original agreement has been agreed upon, even though we have not signed it. So another concern is US likely to urge India to reduce oil and gas supply from Iran. This is going to be really contentious. And India's military purchases from S-400 missile system from the US. So as I mentioned before, all these are the important things or important decisions about which we can expect some solid decisions from this 2+2 summit. So that's all important about this particular article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the automakers. So automakers call for a clear and stable policy. Auto industry leaders on Wednesday called for a clear and stable policy for framework for the industry. Whenever there is a regulatory change, it should not become a crisis for the industry. That's what lead officials from various automobile manufacturers has said. And let us keep all options open, that is electronic vehicles, hybrid, CNG, methanol, ethanol. That's what another important official from automobile industry has said. We must invest in new technologies and build capacities and capacity in all these areas. That's what it is about. And asking the government to provide a long-term roadmap so that we can prepare for the changes. The chief of Mahindra said every change that happens should not become a crisis for the industry. Tata Motors CEO and Managing Director Gurinder Beshek also stressed the need for support from the government with active policies to meet the challenges ahead. He said that the support would help the auto industry to very carefully prioritize and put the right resources behind and go and move forward. So that's all important about today's newspaper. So let's take up something especially regarding the automobile industry. So one is ethanol blended petrol program. So this was launched by the central government in 2003 to promote the use of alternative environment friendly fuel, and it was an intervention sought to reduce the import dependency or import dependency for energy requirement and the environmental friendly measure to keep vehicular pollution under check. However, since 2006, oil marketing companies were not able to meet the required quantity of ethanol demand against the tenders plotted by them. The various constraints for it were the state specific issues, that is, supply related issues, pricing of ethanol. These are the main constraints that they faced. And in order to augment the supply of ethanol, a new mechanism for pricing of ethanol was placed, wherein the government decided delivery price of ethanol at OMC depots. So it is better if you could take a screenshot of this particular slide and keep it for further reference. So that's all important about that. And now let's look into another important scheme regarding the or regarding the automobile industry, that is FAME. FAME stands for Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicles, and this was launched by the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. Please take a note of this. It can be a prelims question or it can be something really confusing part, because once you look at the options of various other industries, there can be Ministry of there are various other possible industries. Whoever who can handle this, and the scheme has four important areas. One is technology development, other one is demand creation, and pilot projects and charging infrastructure. So FAME India scheme is aimed at incentivizing all vehicular segments, that is two-wheeler, three-wheeler, auto, then passenger, four-wheeler vehicle, light commercial vehicle and buses. So this was launched under the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan of 2015. So that's all important about today. I hope you like this video. If so, please hit the like button. Do share it with your friends. And you can follow us on Telegram. You can also visit our blog, that is www.knowledgehouse.co. And please do subscribe our channel so that you won't miss any updates from us. We'll be coming up with more interesting and compelling videos. So thank you very much for watching this video. And you can support us. You can support us by making donations to this particular Paytm number. It's not mandatory, but if you feel so, you can definitely make donations to us to this particular Paytm number. Another way you can support us is by sharing this video as much as possible. So thank you very much for watching this video once again, and have a nice day.